Hello people, what I have here is a Kriesler 1120 radio, valve radio, and I have removed all the valves, and just to show you, that's the front part with the speaker. It looks like it's not the original speaker there. But cannot be sure as I haven't repaired one of these before. Anyway, I removed the valves and I've placed them here. They're the valves, 5 valves, and I have the circuit diagram here. It's got a 220 volt tap, though it's showing in dotted lines, so it hasn't got it. Anyway, so that's the transformer there. I actually have pulled it out because the paper and the insulation on the outside doesn't seem in very good condition. So I was going to give it a bit of a reconditioning here, because even the wires, they use rubber wires, and some of them are started to crack or go hard, which could cause a problem in the future. And even the 6.3 volt secondary for the heaters and the pilot lamps, which I got connected here, the insulation even on the copper is not that good. I don't know if this transformer been overheated before. Maybe the rectifier valve has gone in short circuit. But anyway, I'm having a look at this, and I'm gonna, this paper here, take it apart and check the connections of the wires, and if I could replace the wires, I will. The pilot lamps. So that's been blown to smithereens, and that's open circuit too. Looking at the radio, for some strange reason here, this resistor here goes to the heater voltage 6.3, and on this end is where it goes to the globe. So they actually put a resistor in series with the 2 pilot globes. So the heaters don't have, obviously that resistor would burn out running all the heaters of the valves. But they have put a resistor on the lamps, 2 lamps. 6.3 volts, maybe 0.25 or 0.3 amps current draw of the lamp. But I haven't seen this before. I don't know if this is original or someone else that repaired the radio before me, which someone has, because replaced some capacitors here, as you see, which I'm going to replace anyway. It looks like it's been sort of modified a little bit. I'll have to look at that. This was the pot, and it hasn't got a switch on it. So it's the right type of pot, 0.5 meg, 500K, but no switch. So it was just, as soon as you plug it in to the wall, the radio is on. So I'll have to put a different pot with a switch, so you'll be able to switch it off. So this is one of the projects I'm doing. So I'm going to check out this transformer. So I'm going to remove this paper here. I'm going to have a look at the, hopefully the terminals right at the end, and see if I could replace those wires. Okay. So we got to disconnect. Of course, I switched the power off, and disconnect the primary here that I've connected temporarily. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this rubber wires, as with age not very good. So this is the that's the secondary, those two there, secondary. And the primary, one of the primaries is between that, which I don't know why they've done it like that. So maybe I'll just try to cut that. Okay. I'm just trying to save this paper because I don't really have any of this. So okay, so that's removed. That's one section. There's not much gap on the sides here. There you go. So that one, that's good. I didn't have to cut that. Okay. I cannot see because my eyes are not good, so I have to wear the jewelry lens. It's a very thin wire, the primary. Well, is that the primary or the secondary? Actually, that's the secondary. You gotta make sure I don't make it worse than what I have here. Okay. So this is how they decided to do it. They got the wires underneath a cardboard with holes in it as a lock, comes up through another hole, goes in and comes out, and then soldered onto the winding wires. So you gotta be careful here not to damage any of the windings. Okay, but I definitely want to replace these wires. Okay, this wire has got a lot of corrosion on it here. Yeah. So this wire, which looks like somebody maybe have taken apart this before. So see some solder here. I don't know if that's joints. Yeah, I could see there's a joint here. So looks like maybe somebody have repaired this before. So that's the primary, secondary. They're close together then. And again, secondary is bored through here. I believe this transformer has got hot before because it's very sort of brittle around here. So I just gotta have to unsolder this and see what happens. Now I will show again on camera. We got center tap of the secondary, and the end wires is these two. This looks like there's a joint there. So I believe somebody have taken this apart before. Okay. And now I'm probably the second person to take it apart, and I probably have to correct everything up by changing these wires and making sure that it's in good order at the ends here. That's the center tap, the two wires, you see them, so I'm going to have to unsolder it. That's the primary, I got to be careful of as well. And that's the primary. And the secondary winding is much thinner. Interesting. It's probably how they are on these ones. It's probably because they couldn't fit it in the size of the transformer here. They went for a thinner wire. Because normally the primary, right? I know this is like 1-to-1 ratio in a way, because, well, half of the windings is, and that's probably why they did that. Yeah, to go up. I mean, in America, the 120 volts, there's definitely the secondary will be thinner because it needs more winding. And of course here, because we got two taps of 250 volts, they had to put more turns, double the turns, so they sort of had to do the same thing. And that's probably why this transformer is such, not much gap here. It's got so much windings. So I'll pause the video again and I will unsolder the wires. Well, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to use my solder sucker first, and I will do that. Okay, that's the primary, which they made it coming out of that hole there, and I will note it the same. So that's secondary center tap, and it's not going to write. Okay. There they are there. So that was on top of the edge there, and I suppose that is through there. So that's how they ran it. And you can see that there. So I got to replace the wires, and then I'll put everything back again. So I'll stop or pause the video for now. Okay, so I have replaced the wires. They're the old wires there, and I've put new wires here. So we got the secondary and the secondary center tap, black, and the primary. I use this yellow and black wire that I have. So this is very strong insulation and thin. So I've done all that, as you can see. So all I have to do now is put this on top, put some U-tape and the last bit of insulation paper, and then I will put some varnish on it and bake it a little bit. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. So I put the last bit of insulation paper, and I'm just running this tape here, and so it was very hard to get it through the gap here, so just come up with this idea. I cut a bit of paper, printing paper here, and I will attach the tape to that and pull it through. So just to show this, I'll attach the tape. Okay. And okay, so as you can see, I pulled it through the other side, so that's going to work out all right. So I'll tape it up and then I'll put varnish on it. I'll dip it in varnish. Oh, that's the transformer there. Okay, so I've got a temperature gauge here, and I've got this frying cooker here that I use, and so I'll put the transformer in here, and I'm going to heat it up to about maybe 85-90 degrees, and I'm going to put that on, and here I've got a slot here for the wire to close. Okay, so I'm gonna let it warm up, and then I've got this varnish here, and I'm gonna try to see if it fits in there. Immerse it in the varnish, and then I'll put it back in the tray and bake it for about, I don't know, 2 hours. If it dries, it probably is not enough, but eventually it will dry, but at least will be helps it to set off quicker. Okay, so I did the transformer in the varnish, and I let all the bubbles come out, and I've put it in here in the heater. I'll pour some varnish once it starts drying again on top where the wires is here, just to strengthen that section. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, here I have the transformer after it's been I've put it in the varnish. Of course, some of the wax after baking it melted a little bit, but I dipped it twice in the varnish, and I've put some hot glue in the end, towards the end, around the wires, just to keep them a bit more tight. But it's much more solid now. There's no, before the paper was very loose. It's all very sealed. Okay, so I'm testing the voltages now again, just to make sure. So I've got 240 here going onto the primary, and 275 on one side of the secondary. Okay. So just check the other side. That's what you don't want. and the other side 275. Okay, now I'll test the 6.3 volts section. Okay, and there I have 7.04 volts. There you go, 7 volts. That's because the AC is changing a little bit there. But regarding the 7 volts, I've worked out, of course, didn't realize that there was so much amperage. So I looked up the specs of the valves, of the heaters, and when I plussed all the, it's actually got 4 valves. I counted all the current draw of the valves and the pilot lights, and it came to around 2.2 amps. So the 7 volts will go down to 6.3 with that much load in this particular transformer. So I'll show you that. I'll put a load on it. So I've got a current meter here set on amps, and I'm using a 50 watt 12 volt globe, right? This normally draws a bit around just over 4 amps. So at half voltage should draw half that, and I've put one pilot lamp on, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the load of that with that. Let me see. So I've got the I've got the load connected. Okay, so I'll put the power on. And if we check how much current here, we're drawing 2.5 amps, and let's check the voltage, 6.3, and primary 240, 241, spot on, 6.3 volts. So with the load, it actually drops down to 6.3. So yeah, there you go, 2.5, around 2.5 amps and 6.3 volts. So we're in business. It's correct. All right, so I'll continue on, and I think I'll just give the radio a bit of a clean before I put the transformer in, the chassis, and then I'll take it from there. Okay, I'm using methylated spirit to clean the chassis here. The only thing that I have to say about methylated spirit from Australia, this thing is like paint stripper, and for people that want to use it to clean plastic or plastic of the radios, like the front dials, I recommend and I suggest very strongly not to use methylated spirit. I have seen people use it. I would say they've been very fortunate that nothing happened, but when I've used it on very old plastic, like for example, I have here a Kriesler radio. Okay, this is the dial of the 1160 Kriesler radio, and just have a look what it did to it. It actually cracked it. It gave it this very fine not fine, actually very coarse, cracks. That happened, okay, as soon as I touched it with methylated spirit, straight away. So people say, oh, that shouldn't happen. But, well, the methylated spirit in Australia, I don't know what they put in it, but that's what it does to all plastic. Obviously, it depends on maybe the plastic types, but alcohol is more safer to use, pure alcohol, isopropylene, or, and also methylated spirit will probably take these markings off as well, so you got to watch out. It's a good cleaner, but it's like a paint stripper. And in actual fact, methylated spirit, okay, again, some paints that they make here in Australia, okay, it actually comes off with methylated spirit. Now, if you go in Europe or maybe some other country, that might not happen. Either the paints are made differently, okay, or methylated spirit is different as well. Back in the old days, I don't recall or heard of anything that used to happen. So they've changed a lot of things and they don't let people know. As I hope you would have noticed that we're living in a world of lies. The governments are lying to everybody with everything they do. Okay? But I won't give you a lecture about the New World Order that is going on. But yeah. So be careful using methylated spirit regarding damaging plastics and taking paint off. Alright, so I'm going to keep cleaning and then I'll film the next segment. I'm going to remove the tuna section here so I can replace these grommets. And just to make it easy, I can replace the grommets without removing the tuna. But to make it easier, since I'm doing an overhaul here, I will take this whole section off. So I just need to remove these two wires. So I've marked them here with a bit of nail polish, blue and red, so I know where they go. And this wire here, somebody put some sort of color here before as well, the next repairer before me, the prior repairer. So yeah, I'm just going to disconnect these 3 wires and hopefully it will come off. So let's see how I go. That's that paint, whatever they put there. It's probably toxic. I normally would add some solder there, but I'm holding the phone for recording, videotaping this. Come on. Okay, that's off. Okay. So let's see, it will come off now in one piece. Move this capacitor here out of the way. I think it should just drop out. I see there's one more wire, the screen wire. It's going to be a bit hard to take off. there you go. So that's the tuner section there. And, so you can see these grommets, they're just solid like carbon. They're actually solidified. There you go. They're finished. So it's got the spacer here, so they can only compress until up to this brass fitting, which I've taken off. That one and that one. So I'll put these away. I'll read it. And these grommets too here are no good as well. So just matter of, not as hard as the other ones. The other ones were brittle, like glass. But we'll change these. This one started to go hard, really hard. There you go. Got a new piece of okay. More of this famous methylated spirit. That's a resistor there, looks like. These, when I removed the valves, by the way, they were very tight, almost seized up. So what I did is I sprayed some of this stuff, contact cleaner, or this stuff actually has got oil in it. Would you believe I've had this can, okay, since, let me just try to think about this when I had this. I've had this can, I don't want to tell you lies. See if I can find a date on it. I bought 2 of these, and back in 19 either back in 1989 or the year 2000, because I've been twice in Europe, and I actually bought these from Malta when I was there for a holiday, and it's still okay. It's made in Holland, made by Philips. It says here contact cleaner, contact, that's just different languages here, okay. Yeah, it's not the proper contact cleaner where isopropyl or propylene or that evaporates. This has actually got some oil in it, a lubricant. But you know, I don't use this for everything, but it's good. So for example, these valves, perfect. So I sprayed that in there, in the contacts from the other side as well, and underneath the valve, and just wiggle the valve very slowly, very slowly. Otherwise, you could break it, and then you got a problem is trying to get another valve. And these valves are very expensive. Everybody is trying to make money now on just little things like that. So yeah, my suggestion is spray a bit of oil. That helps the contact as well. And just in case there's some sort of corrosion, which will make it very tight to come out as well. But also what I do with the valves, not particularly these ones, these are like the real old ones with the big socket backlight underneath here. So these are very good like that, right? They're very clean. But the other valves, I'll show you. Okay, I got a 6A and 7 here. Underneath here in the contacts, I've seen some YouTube videos and everyone like seems to sort of wipe these, but it's not good enough. If you really want to have a good contact, not only you got to clean the contacts in the socket, but you got to clean the pins. And you got to be careful not to bend the pins, or if they're bent, you got to maybe try to straighten them without breaking a glass. I found steel wool, just pressing it onto the steel wool will clean some of the, oxidization or, dirt and corrosion of the pins. So that you need to do that as well. It's not about cleaning the sockets only. Yeah, so anyway, it's sort of common sense, but sometimes you don't think of it. I'm guilty of that as well, where things are common sense and at the time you're hurrying or you're not thinking straight and you miss things, or you don't do things in the right way or use the right procedures. Of course, there's many procedures, different ways, and that's fine. Everybody's got their own ways of doing things. But definitely need to clean the pins, and that is not an opinion, but it's a fact. So we live in a world where that's your opinion. Well, opinions, you know what opinions are? Opinions is like, I'll give you a piece of food, or a fruit, which is food, and I ask you, do you like that? And you say yes, and then I give the same piece to someone else and he says, I don't like it. That's an opinion. But now they use the opinion word for right and wrong, or for fact. If something's a fact, if I tell you I was walking down the street and I fell in a hole there was something in the road and I fell, people say to you, well, that's your opinion. No, it's not. That's a fact. So yeah, I'm sorry that I have to mention this. Nothing to do with what I'm doing here with the radio. But this is the world we live in, and I cannot help. I'm not going to say stay quiet and not mention these things, because it's so corrupt, everything. If an apple is black, okay, or red, and I say to someone, this one time I was talking to a mason, and I said, what color is the apple? He goes, black. I said, but it's red. He goes, that's your opinion. And that was about 25 years ago. They already had these ideas that you can say whatever you like. to things that are fact. So if the apple is red with some other colors, and you say, nah, to me that's black. Not unless you're colorblind. You're just a bullshit artist and a corrupt person, like most of the Masons are, especially the 33-degree ones. So yeah, very interesting world we live in. Okay, so now I have to find some grommets. Okay, so I've got these grommets here. I'm not sure if they're going to be right actually. Might be okay for this. Yep. Okay, that worked out all right there. But for these, I don't think I have the right grommets for the no. Let's see. This is a very small grommet here. So let's see if I put two grommets together. Actually, I saw, what's his name? Can't remember his name at the moment here. He's very good. Does restorations of old radios, and I think he did something like this where he put two grommets together. I don't know if it's going to work out with this now. Probably not. Yeah, I need very small ones, small grommets, which I don't really have. Might work. Because in the end, it's got a big base here, so it might work. So what I did here, I put two grommets, one inside the other. But because the washer and the bottom is big, and the base, as I showed you, is big as well, this middle grommet cannot really go anywhere. So it probably will work out alright for this. These two grommets and the spacer. So I'll put the spacer into that and then the whole thing into that. If I could get it started. Okay. So we just press that in there. There you go. And now we'll press that into there. But in actual fact, that's not the way I want to do it, because then it's too hard to push it in the hole. So I will put that in the big, that there in there first. Okay, and we'll press that in now. Perfect. Good idea, mate. Even this grommet here is slightly big, but it goes in. Just check from underneath. There they are there. One good thing, they are flexible, not like the old ones. If I come across better grommets, I'll get some. So put that in there, put that in there, and actually this idea of the screwdriver here, it's a good trick. Okay, so you got something to press about and it's not going to slip out of your hand. There you go. Okay, and now we'll press it in the other grommet. Okay, there you go. So that's, but before I put this on, I might give this a bit of a clean. So I will probably use a toothbrush just to clean it a little bit. And then these bearings here, I'll oil them up. I'll give them a bit of a clean from the outside. I'm not going to take it apart. And then I can put this back. And here are the tuning capacitors. There you go, tuning capacitors there. And that's the oscillator coil adjustment. So I'll give that a bit of a clean. It's got a number here, 15-14.